Welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm Brian.
There was a whole thing that came up over the weekend thanks to Tokyo Game Show, which was the revelation that Devil May Cry 5 will offer paid microtransactions in order to purchase orbs in the game, which will then let you unlock things and progress faster.
Yeah, there was a lot of internet backlash. I think aside from Telltale Games shutting down, I think this was kind of the big internet story of the week. People are like, this is pay to win. They were mad, but there's more, I think, to talk about here.
There is. One of the things that makes it difficult to say pay to win specifically is that it is a single player game. Right. So it's more like
right.
like pay to progress or pay not to play, like pay to skip.
It is. Have you ever paid for single-player microtransactions? It seems a little pointless.
I haven't. I mean, I have trouble justifying that sort of thing in a single-player narrative game like that.
Yeah.
But this isn't the first time these kinds of microtransactions have popped up. They popped up as well in Shadow of War, although they were recently removed, like
in
9
July,
months to a year after
yeah.
the game actually came out, and pretty much everyone who was going to buy the microtransactions bought them.
You mean after they made all their money, they then decided to take it out?
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't do that.
But what's interesting about this is it obviously sparked a lot of concern among the gaming community that yes, this is going to be predatory, that these microtransactions are unacceptable, that the game would be inevitably balanced to push you to pay for these microtransactions in order to skip grinding, that kind of thing. And so the developers have really had to come out and address exactly how it is that they're approaching it and what the microtransactions will and will not do for you.
Yeah, they've on Twitter, one of their producers at Capcom was like, no, and he did point it out. They've done this before. They did this in Devil May Cry 4, but it was like an Ultimate Edition. Yeah. So they've tried this before, and Capcom, they're not afraid of throwing some microtransactions in there. I mean, they do it. I'm sure they're in like Street Fighter 5 and stuff like that. So this isn't unexplored territory for Capcom, and sadly, you just see a lot of developers doing this because they make more money this way.
Absolutely, and so game director Hideaki Itsuno justified the microtransactions, saying in an interview with GameSpot during Tokyo Game Show, it's something we want to give people as an option. If they want to save time and just want to get all the stuff at once, those people can do that. But on the other hand, I don't feel you have to get all the moves. You should be able to play it the way you want to play it. He also said that they've balanced it so that more difficult, harder to use items are more expensive in terms of the orbs and so on and so forth. So he is saying that people should be able to play the way they want to play, which I do agree. It is a single player experience. It's not like you're ruining anyone else's experience except your own if you pay for that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things, like you said, it's almost like paying to not play the game.
They're like, you paid all the money for the game. Why wouldn't you want to play it?
Right. It's not quite as comparable to like a Battlefront 2, which is a multiplayer, and you pay a bunch of money to get, all this great shit and then just beat up on people. So I think that's where people draw the line. Single player, they do just seem odd to me. Like, if you've bought this game, if you paid $60 for a game, why wouldn't you want to get as many hours as you can?
Well, and so I feel like the developers have done a pretty good job of explaining that the balancing, that they're not gearing the game towards grinding and making you get these microtransactions in order to skip that part of the game.
Yeah.
And there have also been tests showing how quickly you can get the orbs. In no way do you need to get them to feel like you're making progress through the game. The issue with microtransactions in a game like this, oddly enough, for me, isn't always even the microtransactions themselves. It's their existence and the doubt that then casts on the game itself.
Yes.
So that was the thing with Shadow of War,
yeah.
right? Where there is a part later in the game where you are doing a lot of grinding. So early on where you're playing, it doesn't feel like those microtransactions are predatory in any way. They're just like there, you can ignore them, whatever. Then you get to this long stretch where it feels very grindy and you start to go, aha, I think I see exactly what the developers are doing here. And so even if the developers had not created that section of the game with that in mind, and I don't know if they did or didn't, it created this element of doubt.
But you noticed a section in the game where it's like, uh-oh, this is where they want, and you expect like a little merchant almost to pop up. Like, want to buy some gold?
Exactly. Yeah. So the concern is that even though they've had these before in Devil May Cry, and that they seem relatively well balanced, and that the developers have sort of assured people that they're not trying to make this, not trying to force you down this path that you need to get them.
Right.
It still casts doubt on the game itself beyond the fans who have already done their research and said, oh no, I remember this from the special edition.
Right.
The microtransactions were not a problem at all.
Right.
I didn't mind. It was fine. I didn't have to spend anything else. They did a great job. I trust the developers. But you need more than those, like that core of fans to buy the game and trust the game. And with the current climate, with the attitude against microtransactions among the core gaming community, there are a lot of people who might, without looking into it further, just leave the game and play something else that they don't worry about.
Yeah, I think people are a little touchy on this subject, and I think that you expect this in certain games. Like, I play free-to-play games sometime on mobile, and they are full of offer. It's constantly trying to sell you stuff. But when it is a $60 full-price game, and I see any kind of, pay us real money for this, it just, it always makes me feel a little like, okay, y'all are up to something. Like, at some point, is the difficulty going to spike? Like you were saying with Shadow of War, is the difficulty going to spike? And then you're pushing me into this,
and
into
was
doing
that spike
something
natural,
or
is this a sales?
Was that a gameplay decision? Yeah.
Right.
Was that a design move to try to push people there? They're saying take our word for it. Okay. But it's just, you don't know what to expect these days.
Yeah, and I do feel like the hardcore Devil May Cry fans trust Itsuno.
Yeah.
They're like, we get it. If this is what it took for him to get this game made, we understand.
Right.
But the general gaming audience, the one that make up the bulk of sales, not that hardcore evangelist group, but sort of the outer layer of consumers.
Right.
They don't necessarily have that trust. They don't care. They're going to look at it and go, oh, I really don't want to pay to skip grinding.
Yeah. Also, it might not have been his decision. He might have designed it, and Capcom came in, some executives that, guess what? You're putting microtransactions in this.
Right. Like, we have these, we have this list of things and features that need to be implemented. This is one of them.
Right. If you want to make the game, this is what you have to do. Yeah, there is a risk, I think, of turning off a more casual, or this might be somebody's first Devil May Cry game, and so, like you said, there might not be that experience, that history with the franchise, to where I think hardcore Devil May Cry gamers will be like, okay, if you say it's okay, I trust you, and I'll buy it. But yeah, are you losing sales though because of that? And then you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Right. And we'll see how this develops. This is a relatively new thing. It came up over the weekend at Tokyo Game Show.
Yes.
Capcom is now aware that there is a certain rejection of that among the online gaming audience.
Right.
So I'm sure we'll get a lot more communication in the days to come about how it works. Or, I don't know, maybe unlikely, maybe they'll pull an audible and be like, oh, we've taken them out. They won't. They won't, because there's too much money to be made from microtransactions. But I'm sure we'll see some sort of movement from Capcom, more communication around it.
And I think also what makes people nervous is, if it's microtransactions for cosmetics, I think that's one thing, Overwatch, something like that. If it's for game progression items, if it's for beefing up your players, even if it's in a single player, okay, I get it. It's not multiplayer. It's not going to be a FIFA type thing where it's like pay, thousands of dollars to beat everybody else online. Even though it's single player, I think the fact that the microtransactions involve character progression, I think that's when it starts to make some people nervous. And I think that's justified.
Yeah, I in general prefer hot take, I would prefer not to have those kinds of microtransactions in single-player games.
Hot agreement.
But I remember I did see an article, this is from DualShockers, who played the game, and they did a little test as well as far as earning orbs, like how quickly you can earn orbs.
Right.
So it's saying that they started a level with 4,300 orbs, and by the end of the final boss for that level, they had more than 26,000 orbs. So they made somewhere in the neighborhood of 22,000
Just
orbs.
from playing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus you get more orbs for killing bosses stylishly, all that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Now to put that in perspective, the cost of things if you want to spend orbs on different things, 1,500 for a revive if you want like at a base level with 30% of your life, or 3,000 if you want a full life revive, 7,500 if you want every bit upgraded life included, and then if you need to revive more times throughout the missions, then it's sort of like an escalating cost.
Okay.
But you can see how you've earned more than enough just going through a single level. Using gameplay itself.
Which is that's somewhat reassuring, I would say.
Yeah.
If you can get what you need.
And then ability-wise, it looks like most of the abilities cost between 8,000 and 10,000 orbs for Tier 1. Tier 2 is still, we don't know about all of them yet because this is just a preview demo they were showing at TGS. But Tier 2 ability was 20,000, and then top line like 35,000. Although apparently the top ability of another line is like 3 million orbs, but isn't actually for combat.
Okay.
So that's like that one.
Whales.
I guess that one you save up for.
Yeah.
So you can absolutely still earn plenty of orbs going through the levels to get your abilities, to get your revivals, and all that kind of all those things. And it seems like this is a crutch for impatient players or people who just don't want to deal with any of it. They just don't want to think about it.
They just want to get big and just plow through everything.
Yeah, although in that case, I always wonder, why are you playing the game?
Yeah, this is really a situation where I think reviews will be helpful because hopefully people who will review the game will I'm sure they'll be aware it's got microtransactions, but I think they'll be able to give us an idea of they are kind of pushing you a little bit, or it's not that bad. I made enough myself to, and I think that's where game reviewers can really do people a service and let them know how they're implemented in the game.
I agree. And on a related note, it may mean that this is the kind of game that maybe doesn't see as high pre-order numbers, doesn't see as high of day one sales as gamers maybe take a wait and see approach. Those who are willing to be patient and see what happens instead of just writing it off because it does have the microtransaction tick. And there are those gamers. There's gamers who just want nothing to do with microtransactions these days, and if they see that word, they're just not even going to go. But for those who are maybe on the fence to see how they're implemented, maybe it's more of a day 2, day 3 kind of purchase.
Yeah, and if the game is great and it gets, if its review scores are just insane, I don't see this necessarily. I think people will buy it, and if it's a bad game, I don't think it'll matter one way or the other. So, but yeah, I think there will be some reluctance, totally understandable and justified, to see what people say, what their friends say, whatever, like, how bad is this? Am I going to feel ripped off, or is it, are they just trying to make a little more money off people?
Right. So let us know what you think about these microtransactions in Devil May Cry 5. Does the very existence of microtransactions in the game turn you off completely? Are you going to take a wait-and-see approach? Or do you not really mind? If it's a single-player game and other people can ruin it for themselves, then do you even care? Let us know in the comments. And to make sure you get all kinds of game news and discussions and new release information, all that stuff, make sure that if you're on YouTube, you like this video and you subscribe to our channel. And if you're on the website, well, do what you do.
Yeah.
You're already supporting us in the best place.
We love you. TheKnown.tv for the rest of you.
You're the
Join
best.
us there.